We know that certain people feel meaningful lives and they don't do things that will change the trajectory of whether or not the sun's going to explode. And so when I look at them, it's like, are they wrong? They actually have the thing that I want, right? I want to feel meaningful every single day. So it doesn't seem like it requires doing something that's going to have like a large physical impact, but perhaps it just had a large impact in their own mind. So then the question is like, what do you think, if you were to think about it, like what do you think would make you feel like you did something important and something meaningful, regardless of whether we are a speck in the universe? Like, what would make you feel like what you've done is something that you could be proud of? The struggle with uncertainty is something akin to just not being convinced about the uncertainty. And I found that by going in, like, deep into the science behind our experience, and going deep into the philosophers that I thought were at the front lines of contemporary philosophy, and where that connects with the brain and psychology, I've become more thoroughly convinced of how we have a sense of freedom in that space. Just the fact that you can direct yourself in a certain direction, and you can be confident that by doing certain things, by whether that is by pursuing something that you're interested in, or by a simple example was literally just to go out and start some type of exercise routine, which is tough. That creates a sense of freedom where you convince yourself of not only the fact that you can do that type of thing, but also it convinces you that meaning can be felt rather than just simply there, like, being innately there. One of the things I point out is that a lot of our science points us to the conclusion that there is no like external truth about like the meaning of life or something like that. However, we all are in this culture where we understand what we could do to go out and achieve something or to feel a certain way. A lot of these things that I've mentioned are gold mines for positive emotion. Whether that is like pursuing a goal, pursuing a big goal, a goal that you find important, like that's a huge thing. And then the other thing is, not to get too Jordan Peterson-esque, but to like find something that you truly believe is difficult and important, and then doing something that is difficult and figuring out how to do it such that it's not difficult. And, that's a slow, incremental climb. I stopped studying philosophy for this specific reason. I actually found more purpose reading the biographies of historical figures than by reading philosophy. That's pretty cool. I feel like there's a lot of wisdom in that. Like, sometimes you just have to see other people figure it out or figure things out. And when I say figure it out, it's not like figure out the answer to life, but, they figure out answers that work for them, and perhaps those answers could work for you, but everyone's different. So sometimes the answers don't work for you. And that's not a problem, or that's not like, that's not necessarily an issue. Some people enjoy reading all day. Some people enjoy running all day. Some people enjoy being with, other people. And some people, like myself, are quite introverted and enjoy individuality or independence. Yeah, I like to think of meaning as something that we can experience. We haven't gotten to this yet, but there's like a huge idea in dealing with goals where if there's a goal that seems very distant and difficult, one way to maybe not even get to that goal, like don't worry about getting to that goal yet, but worry about what would make you feel like that goal was feasible or viable. And it requires like thinking about what would be the smaller goals that can build whether it's build your ability or change your perspective in some way over time. And that's how I would go about that. Like, what could you do right now that makes it just like slightly more clear how you might be able to do that? I always try to think about breaking down goals. Imagine it would be very helpful at building a mindfulness practice if you want to build a mindfulness practice. And then the question is, if you don't want to build a mindfulness practice, what would you need to do in order to get to the point where you feel like you do want to build that practice? And that might be just to learn more about all the things that mindfulness can do to you. And so that might be like going to watch a YouTube. So you don't even have to you don't have to start the mindfulness practice today. All you have to do in order to feel like you've achieved something is Go watch a couple videos about mindfulness and then see where that takes you. Perhaps you learn enough where you feel like, okay, I don't actually want to do this. And perhaps that's good enough for you. But mindfulness seems to be just a positive practice for many, many reasons. One thing I tell my patients regularly, better to do X, something that will benefit that person, for 1 minute than 0. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if like 1 minute is all the person can take, then that's fine. And it's good to tell the person that by doing, the thing for 1 minute every day, it'll make it easier to go to 1 minute and 2 seconds every day, or 2 minutes every day. And it's like easy in the sense that it's not going to feel like a burden. It's not going to feel like it requires a ton of effort to do it. Like you just kind of build a routine that way. In terms of me looking forward, even though I'm very ambitious and I look forward, really I go like almost day to day in terms of the goals that really, really matter. It's like almost like a trust in just myself right now. And it's like, what should I do just today? And regardless of what happens tomorrow, right? Like regardless of the car crash, or regardless of whether or not, everything just does actually blow up. Like what can I do today that would actually, I'd feel proud of, and that it would sustain me. It would be like, what could you do today such that if the world were to end tomorrow, it would be fine because you gave it your all, and you whether that's you followed your conscience or whatever. I think that's a realistic outlook on things. Yeah, I don't have any control over anything after that. So it's kind of a pragmatic way to just look at things where, and you see that type of thought appear in a lot of different philosophies. It seems to be just like a wise thing to have that view. And to, like, I feel the same way about regret. It's like if I felt in the moment like I did what I thought was the best thing I could do, then I ought not think back to that moment and think that I did something wrong. It's like I've earned the ability to not be able to think that I did something wrong. So I can't regret that. I can only regret something in the moment if I knew I should do the other in that moment. So it makes it very clear. It's like what I'm trying to talk through right now these are clear heuristics that we could leverage. If you feel like, if you pay attention to whatever you think it is, your conscience or whatnot, if you feel like you did something good in this moment, and this is different for everyone. So like depending where you're at, let's use the exercise example. Like if you've never exercised, like literally just doing like 5 push-ups in a day, like that can be the thing that you did, and you put effort into it. It was difficult, and that's something that regardless of what happens the next day, you could be proud of and not regret. And it requires being like fair with yourself, like you don't, like, why ought you not just say, oh, do 200 push-ups right off the bat, boom. But you kind of have to get a sense of what would be fair to do in the moment. And that's something we could learn from others. It's like, what do other people think is fair for someone to do in the moment, given, their current trajectory? When I think about these things, I always think like you have to convince yourself of your abilities. So, for me, just looking back in the last 10 years, it wasn't something where I it wasn't a quick jump. It was just a very incremental, and it wasn't a constant positive. Like there's plenty of days where I just did not do as much as I probably could have. But it's just a slow build up, and it like compounds over time. It's pretty cool in that way. The perspective that I kind of have, especially on this channel, is that different people are interested in many different things, and they feel different ways about what is good and bad. So there's no like one thing or there's no set of concrete things that we can say you should be doing this. But what I want to do is like give a roadmap that is abstract enough such that anyone can leverage it. So whether that is like, hey, you know what, I want to work towards, making an album, or I just want to work towards building my relationship with this person, whatever it is, like you can make that your gold mine of positive emotion, something that you can work towards, something that you have control over. And, you build up your confidence in yourself. Sometimes all it takes is one thing to create purpose for yourself, and then so many things can follow from that. I like the story of Todd Howard. just asking Bethesda over and over again if he can have a job there since he was a teen. They told him to come back later, so he went to college and then kept on pestering them. Yeah, like you can imagine in that long period before he got the job, like, you know, he's just kind of I imagine he's just like asking his conscience or paying attention to his conscience of like, what should I be doing now if I, like, given my goals, even though like that's an example where, you know, it was simply just doing that one thing. It was something that kept him. So like he could feel accomplished by simply just reaching out and asking, even if they didn't say yes. You know, it kept some hope alive. It kept some forward trajectory, some momentum.